Don't look down there, that's off limits. The rancher looked, and did something horrifying. In the dry heart of the frontier, where the land cracked like old bone and the wind carried secrets better than men did, there lived a rancher named Eli Mercer. His land stretched farther than most eyes dared to follow, fenced not just with wood and wire, but with fear. Folks in the nearby town of Red Hollow spoke his name carefully, as if saying it too loud might draw his attention. Eli was known as a hard man, forged by drought, loss, and years of isolation. But what truly unsettled people wasn't his silence, it was the place behind his ranch house, the place everyone was warned never to look at. Eli had one rule for anyone who worked his land. It wasn't about wages, or hours, or even respect. It was simple and always delivered in the same cold tone: don't look down there. That's off limits. He never explained what there meant. He didn't have to. Behind the main house stood an old, half-collapsed barn built over a natural dip in the land, a dark hollow where sunlight seemed to die early. Even the animals avoided it. Horses pulled away when led too close. Dogs whimpered and refused to bark in that direction. For years, no one challenged the rule. Men came and went, did their work, took their pay, and left with uneasy stories they never fully told. But one summer, a young drifter named Thomas Hale arrived in Red Hollow, hungry for work and unaware of the weight certain warnings carried. He was sharp-eyed, curious, and not yet broken by the West. When Eli hired him, Thomas noticed the rule immediately, and the way Eli's hand tightened on his rifle when he said it. At first, Thomas obeyed. He mended fences, drove cattle, and kept his eyes forward. But the ranch had a way of pressing on a man's mind. At night, strange sounds drifted from the hollow, low, wet noises that didn't belong to any animal Thomas knew. Sometimes, just before dawn, he swore he heard muffled voices, cut short as if swallowed by the earth itself. When he asked Eli about it, the rancher's face hardened. "Mind your work," Eli said. "Curiosity gets men buried out here." The warning should have been enough. It wasn't. One afternoon, while Eli rode into town, Thomas found himself alone near the old barn. The door hung crooked, barely holding on. The air around it was colder, heavier. His heart pounded as he remembered the rule, but something stronger than fear pulled him forward. He told himself he'd just take a glance. Just a look. He stepped inside. The smell hit him first: rot, iron, and something far worse. As his eyes adjusted, he saw the ground sloping downward into a pit reinforced with rough planks. Chains lined the walls, old ones, new ones. At the bottom lay shapes that made his stomach turn. Human shapes, some unmoving, some not. Thomas staggered back, bile rising in his throat. That was when he heard the floorboard creak behind him. Eli stood in the doorway, his shadow stretching long and crooked across the barn floor. His face wasn't angry, it was calm, resigned, like a man whose worst fear had finally come true. "I told you not to look," Eli said quietly. Thomas tried to run. He didn't make it 3 steps. What happened next was never fully known, but that evening, Eli rode into Red Hollow alone. He paid Thomas's tab at the saloon, gathered the young man's few belongings, and told the sheriff that Thomas had decided to head west before sunset. No one questioned it. People often left Red Hollow without looking back. But something changed after that day. Eli began spending more time near the hollow. Neighbors noticed smoke rising at odd hours. The cattle grew restless. The land itself seemed sick, as if whatever lay beneath was poisoning it. Then, one night, screams echoed across the plains, screams filled with terror, rage, and something close to madness. By morning, Eli Mercer was gone. When the sheriff finally gathered the courage to investigate the ranch, he brought 3 men with him. They found the house empty, the barn doors torn open. Inside the hollow, the pit had collapsed inward, as if the earth had swallowed its own sins. Bones surfaced through the dirt, far more than anyone expected. Men, women, even children. Generations of them. What they never found was Eli. Some say the land took him, the same way it took the others. Others whisper that Eli, driven mad by his secrets finally being seen, went down into the hollow willingly, choosing to become part of what he created. Even now, travelers passing near the old ranch claim they hear a voice carried on the wind, warning them softly, desperately, as if trying to undo a lifetime of horror. Don't look down there, that's off limits. But the West has taught one cruel lesson over and over again. The most horrifying things are never buried deep enough.